Traditionally, a clock measures 12 hours and returns to its starting position. For every cycle, we record that time has passed and regard further cycles as additions to the record we are keeping. The clock has no knowledge of this accumulated value, and it is a central claim of equivalent time theory that spacetime does not possess this knowledge either. We describe the shape of spacetime with a metric. The Minkowski metric uses 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time. For space and time to be compatible in this way, their units must match. We measure space in meters and time in seconds, so a trick is employed to correct this. We multiply time by the speed of light. The speed of light is measured in units of meters per second, or meters seconds to the power of -1. So when you multiply it by seconds, the time unit cancels, and we are left with just meters. So, in a perhaps counterintuitive way, by multiplying time by the speed of light, we convert time into space. This may seem like magic, but in a way, we've just converted time back to what it was in the first place. After all, we used the motion of a clock to measure time to begin with. We don't actually measure time, we measure motion. And the forms of motion that give us the most consistent measurements we interpret as measurements of time. One problem with this outlook is that not all forms of motion are visible at the classical scale. An object may look still, but the particles that make it up are moving in a chaotic manner. We experience that motion as temperature. At the subatomic scale, certain particles have angular momentum, implying that they may have some kind of hidden internal motion. The 4D metrics that we use in physics are measuring 4 dimensions of motion. The so-called time dimension is simply a form of hidden motion that we measure indirectly. This is possible because it is contravariant with the special dimensions. As an object accelerates, this hidden motion decreases. And due to the symmetry we observe between this value and the flow of time, we have mistaken it for being time itself. But it is not time in the universal sense. It cannot have an ever-increasing value. We record the passage of time. There is no evidence that the universe does this naturally. This mistake is hinted at in Einstein's relativity. A photon's time parameter is either infinity or 0, depending on your interpretation. But this is simply due to the fact that light does not have the structure that supports the kind of motion which is determined by these equations. The predictions of the Dirac equation, however, confirm that this must be the case. Negative energy requires the so-called time dimension to have a loop structure, much like a clock. So much so that we have been using it to measure time, but it is not time itself. Newtonian physics can be thought of as being based on invariant space and time intervals. 1 second or 1 meter are the same for everyone. Einstein replaced these 2 invariant intervals with 1 invariant space-time interval, equal to the speed of light, and all of relativity stems from this one fundamental change. Over 100 years later, the concept of spacetime still confuses us. Minkowski was quoted as saying that, from henceforth, space by itself and time by itself are doomed to fade away into mere shadows, and only a kind of union of the two will preserve an independent reality. Despite this, we still compartmentalize the concepts of space and time incorrectly. Time is a fundamental property of the universe, not just one of 4 dimensions. Thank you.